everybody and welcome to OK Doodle. My name is Claire and I am the face behind the brand, and basically OK Doodle is where I take my thoughts, I doodle them down, and then I turn those doodles into gift shop treats for you to enjoy over on my Etsy or images that I share on my Instagram. So as you know from the title of this video, today we are talking about my enamel pin process. I'm going to take you through how I have made enamel pins from start to finish, including how I pick Pantones, the manufacturers I can suggest, and everything like that. Backing cards, all sorts. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please do give it a thumbs up, as that really helps me out and it's a great way to help me grow for free. If you do like what you see here over on OK Doodle, then please think about subscribing and come and find me on Instagram. That's where I am every single day. So let's get on with the video, shall we? So currently I have two enamel pins that I have had produced. Both of these are designs I've made and then had made into enamel pins that I just dropped. So all my pins are designed by myself and then sent to a manufacturer to be made in China. I'm pretty sure that all enamel pins are made in China. You can work with companies that are in the UK, but they are called middlemen, men in the middle, people that work in the middle. They're called middlemen. So what they will do is they will contact Chinese factories for you and do it all on your behalf. They are actually quite good to use if you are a beginner. But I did go straight to China and I cut out the middleman altogether. So the first thing you need when you are making an enamel pin is a design. I mean, you can't make something without the initial design. So my first pin was this design, which is a rainbow, and then in the cloud it says awesome human. I chose this because my brand is all about pastel and rainbows, and I say this quote a lot. Everybody is an awesome human. That's what I believe. So this is my first ever pin. So when you are designing just for like fun or for Instagram, you will just draw your design, pick your colours and upload it, I guess. But when you coming to design an enamel pin, you need to simplify that process a little bit and fine tune it. So I will show you on this enamel pin. What you need is, you can see my lines. So between each colour of the rainbow there is a black nickel line, because that is the finish that I chose for my pins was black nickel. So everywhere there is black nickel, there was a line on my doodle for the artwork, and then between the lines I put the colours, and then the awesome human is actually in nickel as well, and then everything else is a colour. So I hope that makes sense. So if you want a new colour, there has to be a line of enamel between each colour you choose. You cannot merge colours together when you're making enamel pins, so you can't have like a gradient effect. There might be a way you can do that, because on some pins you can do screen printing and things like that. But I'm going to say I'm just talking basic enamel pins like this one with nothing fancy on it. So between every colour I wanted to change there is a black line, sort of like a pencil line, let's call it. So I hope that does make sense. So yes, step one, pick your design. So the next thing you have to do when you are making your enamel pins is pick your colours. You do this by picking Pantone colours. Now if you don't know what Pantone colours is, then I suggest just googling it and just swatting up on what really is a Pantone colour. But basically every colour has a code, and you give your manufacturer the code to the colour that you want to pick. Now there are a couple of ways you can do this. The first way, and my preferred way, is to have a Pantone book. I like having the Pantone book because I can see the colours with my eyes, which I know you can on a computer too, but you may or may not be aware that colours on a computer screen look very different in real life sometimes. So my preferred way is to use a Pantone book, but these are not the cheapest thing ever. This one was lent to me. I think it's you know, it's not that up to date because it's quite old, but the colours that I chose from the Pantone book matched what I wanted really well when they came. So basically most manufacturers work with solid Pantone colours, so basically you will have a look through, like say you wanted a pink, you'd have a look through, and then this is the Pantone code that you would give your manufacturer if you were picking this colour. It's quite easy once you can see it like that, but there are some other ways if you can't get hold of a Pantone book that you can pick your Pantones. So the first way is to just do your design as we have spoke about already, and colour drop your colours as normal, and then bring that image into Photoshop. When you're in Photoshop, if you have access to Photoshop that is, I'm not sure whether this works in any other programs because I tend to use Photoshop. As you can see on the screen now, you can colour drop your colour and then open it up in the swatches and look through Pantone codes. So you can pick the one closest to the colour that you have and go with that. And then I would suggest printing it out on your printer just to get a feel for what it would look like printed out. But again, every printer prints out differently, everything looks different to all people. So, but that is a great way of picking Pantone colours when you don't have a book. And that is what I did at first. Before I had access to a Pantone book, I used Photoshop. I picked my colours that way. And then I cross-referenced those colours with the Pantone website, which is the other way that you can pick Pantones. Again, on the screen now, you will see on the Pantone website, they actually have a section for picking swatches, and you can go through all the colours, all different shades of colours, and see which number is attached to each one. So you can pick the one that closest resembles the one that you've just dropped in Photoshop and see whether it correlates together. That's how I did it the very first time I designed enamel pins. And then I printed it out and had a look, and then when I got access to the Pantone book, I pretty much did choose those same colours. The only one I had a little bit of problem trying to pick from a computer was the yellow. The other resource for picking Pantone colours is other people. There are some Facebook groups that you can join that are enamel pin based, and some of them don't mind if you just say, can anyone show me what this number Pantone looks like for you, or in a Pantone book, and people will take pictures and show you the colours that they have for that number. So choosing the right size for your enamel pin is really, really important because it is going to give the feel that you want from your pin. So for example, I chose 1.5 inches on the biggest size for my first pin. So my pin is 1.5 inches this way, which is quite big for a pin, but I wanted it to be quite visible. I wanted people to be able to see it, and I really like 1.5 inches for a pin. My second pin is also 1.5 inches across this time, and I think it's 1 inch high. So though an inch pin like this one from Catnip is probably the most preferred size, because these ones, obviously, if you're going to wear them, are more wearable. So I think an inch is probably the smallest I would go on a pin, but I have seen people do smaller ones too, and they do look really cute. But I tend to stick to between 1 inch and 1.5 inches, but as I said, it's totally down to preference. What I would suggest doing, which is a tip I also got off Catnip when I watched her video on enamel pins, is to print it out at the sizes that you are thinking about before you order. That way you get a feel for how big your pin is. That's exactly what I did when I made my first ever one, and I printed it off at 1 inch, and I printed it off at 2 inches, and I printed it off at 1.5, and I just really liked the 1.5, and that is how I chose which size to go for. With my next little pins, which are on the way, I have gone for a 1 inch pin. So I'm very interested to see how that one has come out and how I feel about the 1 inch pins compared to my 1.5 inch pins. But yes, so picking a size is an important step, and printing it out to get a feel for the actual size is something that I suggest you do. So let's talk about manufacturers, shall we? One of the most asked questions I get is who I use for my manufacturer. It's, you know, probably the biggest decision you make when you make a pin. So what I did is I researched like hell about manufacturers before I made a decision to who I wanted to go with. Now, there are a couple of choices. You can use a middleman, or you can go straight to China yourself. And that is just personal preference, especially when it's your first enamel pin. A lot of people do like to choose a middleman, such as Made by Cooper or the Enamel Pin Factory or Awesome Merchandise. Those are all places that you can go, and what they will do is you will order the pins through them, and they will contact pin manufacturers in China for you and work out all the kinks and everything for you. So the pressure is off you. You just order them and they fulfill it all for you. Obviously that way it costs a little bit more because you have to pay them to do that for you, but for starting out it's a good option, and I know lots of people that do it. There are also people on Instagram who will do that for you. So like if you are in the pin community, you will be able to find some people who will do that for you as well, on more of a small business side. So if you like to support small businesses, maybe find someone who will do that for you too. I went straight to China when I ordered my pins. But I didn't do that lightly. I had spent so long researching who I wanted to go for. I think that asking people where they got their pins for is quite taboo in the industry, and I think it is because it does take a lot of research for people to find manufacturers, and then a lot of people don't like to tell people because in case they order from that person and you get a bad batch, which can happen. Hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm still new to this process, but I know that I would feel really bad if I said, yes, go with this manufacturer, I've been using them and they've been fab, and then your pins turn out crap. That's not to say I don't tell people who I use. I do. I have recommended my pin manufacturer to a lot of friends on Instagram who I know are using them now as well. But what I did to get to who I picked was I went on Facebook, I typed in enamel pins, and I joined a few groups. There was one in particular that I joined, but I'm not sure if they always take new people. But it's called Pin Manufacturer Review, maybe. I can't remember, but go on, if you're into Facebook, go on Facebook, find a group, and then maybe just search for reviews. There's also blog posts, YouTube videos, and lots of information out there on reviews from people who have used different factories. The same way as when you buy something, like I don't know about you, but I go to the reviews and see what other people think about it. It's the same with enamel pins. So there are a few that I've seen other people using. I know people that use is it HP pins, and I went with a company called GUA pins, and the rep I deal with I really like. I'll leave some up on the screen. There's my cat. I'll leave some up on the screen where you can see middlemen and some pin factories that I've seen other people use, but please do try and do your own research, just so you are fully informed and you have all the reviews and you can just make your own decision on who you use. I think Louis is going to sit with us for these sections of this pin vlog, because he's being the office cat, aren't you? So we're going to talk now about funding your pins, which is hard work. I will tell you, pins are not cheap. So I think for my first set of pins I tend to buy in batches of 100, and it does cost me between 100 and 200 pounds depending on what I have, and it can go up more. It depends on where you live as well with shipping, but that is the price I tend to pay for my pins, depending on how many I order and what I have. There is no set quote. Each company will charge differently. It depends whether you're getting a discount for like any referrals and things like that. But that is between those prices I tend to pay more towards 2, I would say, after everything as well, and that is just for the pins alone. That is not to factor in like backing cards and packaging and all sorts. Sometimes I buy extra clasps and things like that. So you have to take all this into account when you are thinking about funding pins, because a lot of people do like to put them on backing cards, which then costs money as well. For backing cards, I actually tend to go to Awesome Merch. I do this because they have 100 business cards for £5, which is a bargain. So if I'm ordering 100 pins, I've got 100 business cards there designed front and back for £5. They are a little slow on their delivery, but when you're waiting for pins, that can take about 4 weeks. So I tend to order them first, and then they're usually here by the time the pins come. Other places I like are printed.com. That's the only other place I really go for anything printed, because I love them. So yeah, but funding the pins, for this one I did a Kickstarter. It went really well, and Kickstarter is a great place to fund enamel pins. It's basically just crowdfunding. You can get your audience involved if you've got a good social media standing, but also there's groups on Facebook where you can drop your links for Kickstarter, and Kickstarter alone bring in some buyers too. So I found that really helpful. There's also pre-order, so you could do pre-order on your website or on Etsy or something like that, or you could just fund it yourself, which is what I did with this pin. I fully funded this one myself. I loved it, I wanted it, I got it. And to be honest, it has, you know, bought me back the money that I put in and some profit, which is what you want in business, just with the first batch of those pins, which is great. So yeah, I think I have spoken about everything I need to speak to you about with pins, and I really hope this was helpful. I find videos like this very anxiety inducing, because I don't want to give any wrong advice. I don't want to say anything wrong, and I'm still a beginner when it comes to creating these things. I'm learning as I go. But yeah, hopefully this was interesting. If I've mentioned anyone or any companies, I'll link them below, especially the manufacturers, the middlemen that I mentioned. They'll be in the description. If you do choose to go with anyone that I have put in the description, please just do your research. That's all I'm going to say. Please do research into whoever you choose before you do it. It's really important, and that you make an informed decision. Like with anything, it's a lot of money to put into pins to get it wrong. So I have found though, although I haven't had problems myself, I know people that have had problems, and most manufacturers do redo your pins if you do have any issues. So try not to worry too much about things going wrong, even though if you're like me, you're gonna worry anyway. So yeah. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful, and if you are making enamel pins, leave your link in the comments so I can have a look, because I freaking love buying them. But yeah, thank you so much guys. Give the video a thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe and turn on the notifications if you want to get notified every time I make a new video. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, love ya, bye.